Okay, in this video I'm going to explain a few points about how to use VS Code to configure, to edit Marlin configuration files. What are the basic requirements? We're going to answer this question. And of course, you need Visual Studio Code. You can download it from Microsoft's site. And after setting it up, you need to go to extensions, and extensions icon is like this. Looks like a puzzle, and you should also get these, get and set up these extensions, which is auto build Marlin, and the other one is platform IO. These are very important. Marlin is a auto build Marlin is a lifesaver because it facilitates everything, and all that you have to do then is to make just a single setting that I will be showing you in a couple of moments, and that's all. So we need to go to the site now and download Marlin firmware, the most recent version of Marlin. Okay, so I guess I have one open here. Check it out, right? So how can you use this site? I frequently come to this site, and the first thing I look at is which color it is. I mean, there is a color convention. If there has been a recent update, this changes into another color, which is a white background with almost negative of this current view, and it goes on like this, either this one or the other one. Okay, so it shows you that there have been some changes in between. So it's a good idea to download the latest bug fix 2.0 edition as of today. And there is also another section here which says configurations. So basically you need this, and you also need this. Let's take a look at view configuration option here. So when I click on config here, I get to view two folders. One is default and the other one is examples. Click on examples, and most people have one of these printers. The list is quite extensive. In my case, one of my printers is an Ender 3, like many of you, and Ender 3 can be found under Creality, right? So you can see the entire range of Creality printers here. So you need to be careful at this point. Choose Ender 3 if you have an Ender 3. If you have the other versions of Ender 3 like V2, Max, whatever, you can choose them. But if you have the plain Ender 3, choose this one. And when you choose this one, you have more options. If you use any of these stuff, I mean, if you have changed the controller board with another one and so on, you have to find your relevant folder here. In my case, I opted for Creality version 4.2.7, so this one applies to me, so I click on this. So as you see, there are 4 files here. These are header files. Configuration.h is very important, so many of the settings are done there, and advanced configuration is almost equally important. And boot screen is the one that gives you the greeting screen at the beginning of the boot loading process. And status screen features the necessary layout for displaying the information about the printer. And all of these 4 files must be present. If you lack one of them, you will get an error message, right? So I usually do this. I type on this, I click on this, sorry, and choose raw from here, and right click here, and I choose save as option, and I save it into a folder of my choice. You know the rest. Okay, so you have to do the same thing for all the uh, other options here. Choose the file, select raw, right click, and save as, or control S. Okay, so this will save the correct copy of the related file. So as I said before, you also need uh, the bug fix version. So let's go back to that page and see how can we, yes, we can just switch to the previous one. And you also need to download this guy. It says Marlin bug fix 2.0. This contains the last minute updates and fixes. So if you want to stay up to date, you need this file. Right, so you have these files. So the next thing is to put these files in a folder. Okay, and then once you have all, you have to be careful about the organization of the file folder. Sorry, I keep my files here. Let's try this one and the tree. These are not important. You know what matters is here. Okay, so this is the zip file, and this is the contents of the zip file. And as you see, we have a Marlin folder here on the Marlin bugfix 2.0x. When I click on it, this is the place where the boot screen, status screen, configuration, and configuration advanced header files must be copied to. Right. So once you're done with these, you're ready to go on with the next step, which is going back to VS Code, and there is a nice trick there. Choose open folder here and go back to that folder, all right, which was under and free here, and click on this. And once you are here, don't go any further. You remember we put the files here and stuff, forget about them now. You have to keep it as it is. I mean, you don't have to go any further after this point, and choose this folder, and it gives you the screen where you can configure. So remember, you were supposed to set up this guy, which is not very difficult, auto build Marlin, and also platform IO. Okay, so in the case of platform IO, there is an important file which you need to find first before doing anything else. So in this platform in a file, there is a section which says default envs. Okay, default underscore envs. You need to type in whatever processor, whatever environment, as it is called here, you're configuring this firmware for. You write the name, proper name. So how can you find the proper name for this? Boards have processors, so this is a processor name. There may be some flavors. It may be Maple, it may be just Creality. So this information is usually provided for you, and you need to type in the correct information here. If you have an Arduino based board, then you have to choose the right version, like, you know, whichever Arduino board it is based on, like Mega, whatever, or whatever its name. It has to go here, right? So once we're done with this, we save this, and we have to open configuration file. Okay, so how can we find configuration file? It's again very easy. Just click on this stuff. All right. So remember, there was this Marlin folder. This is your folder, Marlin bugfix 2.0.x, and this is Marlin. Now we need these files. Actually, this file, more importantly. Okay, so we can click on Control and Home to go to the beginning of the file, and if it doesn't work you have to use the manual method. So you remember the setting that we made. There is a similar setting here which is done for you by Marlin developers, so they have already included the name of your board. So this example is for Creality Ender 3 board version 4.2.7. Okay, so there is nothing to be done here, and this define configuration.h version shows the version number of this file. If this version is different from the other files, then you may get an error message, and there may be a problem with your compiling process. And let's go on. So there are so many settings. Let me tell you what I do. So this setting may be important. If there is not a proper, or if there is not a proven configuration file for your own printer, and if you need to write everything from scratch, then you have to be careful about serial port number. Go to the side of the controller board and see what applies to serial port. Some of them has 0 here, some of them may have 1 or other numbers. Okay, and this may change in the future as well. So in my case it is 1, and this is a setting which I have changed. So baud rate is the rate at which data is communicated between PC and the 3D printer. So if this number is higher, of course the entire functioning of the firmware will be a lot smoother, because then it won't lose a lot of time sending and receiving data. So I try to keep this number at 250,000. So there are a number of factors why this may work for you and why not. What type of a computer you have, what kind of a COM port it has, and of course modern computers don't have COM ports, but they have converters. Its performance is important. So the kind of cable that you use, whether it's shielded properly or not. So you may get different results from different settings here. So you can try the fastest number here. If you keep it too low, then it may slow down your firmware. So next, you don't have to do, because all this information has been provided for you. Yes, as you see, some of these settings may become necessary if you have purchased some extra for your printer, and if you want to make it work. In that case, you may come here, for example, magnetic parking extruder, whatever. So if you have a switchable tool head or something like that, you need to make these settings, enable them first of all. PSU control, if you have an auto off board, you can use this. This is usually a problem area. you know, it depends on what type of a power off board you have, and then you have to get the most up-to-date information and precisely apply that information in the configuration to the configuration file. So these are also very important. So as you see, there are so many different types of thermistors, and luckily, because we have a very common printer, ours is one for sensor 0, which is the which is the nozzle, and for the bed it is 1 again, right? So let's quickly go on. As you see, we are now into 7, 8, 900s, but it still goes on, right? So this setting is about your controller type. Depending on the kind of board, it has already been provided for you, so you don't have to change anything here. So one thing that I've noticed, I'm not very sure about whether we have 2208 type stepper driver on 4.2.7. Let's check it out. It will not hurt if you check reality 4.2.7 TMC driver type. Okay. Yeah, so I guess we can get some information here from the corporate site. Right. Where can we find the description here? 4.2. Yes, we can download this information, I believe. So this is a firmware, and we don't need that. Okay. I'm not sure if you need to be precise with the kind of TMC driver. If it is 2208 or 2209, will it make any difference? I'm not so sure, but just for the sake of curiosity, we can take a look here, right? Yeah, so it says integrated TMC 2025. If it is 2025, is it the same, exactly same as? So one thing we can do is we can check out the options here to see if there is anything like 2025. Yeah, I guess the reason why it is not featured here, it is probably because it is the same thing as this one, TMC 2208. Okay, which is interesting, right? And what does it say? Okay, I found the information that I was looking for. Use TMC 2208, TMC 2208 standalone for TMC 2225 drivers. So there is nothing wrong. So it's always a good, because it is such a detailed file, you cannot remember all the little details. So it's always necessary to check out everything very carefully. Okay, so actually, if you choose a file like this, most everything is already configured for you, so there is not much you can do about it. But how can we compile this file? That's also very important. So remember auto build Marlin. So I click on this icon on the left hand side of the page, and I choose show ABM panel, and then I remember mine was this one. I can clean it first. So when there's a lot of clutter here, like temporary files, or if the console is too cluttered, you can use this option. So let's choose build option here. So if there are no mistakes with this file, then it will compile into a firmware, because all that it was a collection of files, different files with different functions. Now, while compiling them, we put them into a single firmware file, which will also let the controller board boot the printer. So it's a success. So how can you get this file? It's also very easy. You see this blue caption here, blue folder with the blue text here. So let's click on it, and this will give us the file, point us to the file, and just right click on this, insert your USB drive. If it is not formatted already, you can format it, and then copy this file onto that SD card, and then put that SD card into your mini SD card, by the way, in my case, to your printer. Power up, and you will get your, hopefully you will get your new firmware functions. This is a pretty safe process. I mean, I have never had any problems so far, so it works usually, no problems. Okay, thanks a lot for listening to this. Good luck.